I'd like to welcome you to the regular scheduled board meeting, Board of Education USD 464 for June 10th. Would you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With that, can we get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All in favor? All right. With that, we'll move into a presentation with Mitch about the insurance claims and summer project updates. Thanks, Mitch.
Just some quick update information, starting with the insurance claims. The biggest thing that we still got going on is the West Campus gym, or the district admin gym. First on site, our company that's managing the project for us has worked directly with our insurance adjuster, and so they've been communicating back and forth. Where it's at now is we obviously have to do some hardwood floor replacement. The biggest issue we ran into thus far is that the type of floor track system that is installed in this gym is no longer manufactured or made. So when we got into talking about having to replace a section of the floor, the concern started to rise that we were not going to be able to replace a section of the floor because that track system and board isn't manufactured anymore. They did end up finding a company that will build that track system to match, so we can go back to a replacement versus, or a patch versus replacing the whole thing. At that point in time, our insurance adjuster said, no, we can find somebody to do this. So they're kind of working hand in hand right now to figure out, obviously for our insurance, they're trying to play the cheapest route they can get out of this, and they think there's a potential to replace the entire floor for cheaper than having this company manufacture the track system that the floor would actually go in on. But they are working hand in hand. Like I said, our insurance company is working with our contractor right now, and to this point, there's no other major hiccups. It's just a matter of how we're going to do it and what we're going to do. There will become depending on what they decide to do, there will become a 3 to 6 week downtime in that gym. We've talked to Brad Eccles at the Rec Commission just to. When we have a final decision on what we're actually going to do, then we'll begin that scheduling process so we can try to ease the impact on them the best we can, however we can, whether that be use of our other gyms or just other spaces for their activities. But ultimately, it's, I don't know how you want to look at it, but we are going to get sand and a refinish and a new paint on the floor and all that. So we are going to get a little bit of a new gym floor in the process, which will meet the new needs of what we're using the space for. And again, that designing that and all that will be down the road a little ways, but they are working through right now, just trying to figure out how we want to replace the gym floor, what company we want to use, and again, what's obviously going to be most cost effective for our insurance carrier, because we are far exceeding where we're at on our deductible, and we'll be getting our money's worth on that one. So that's kind of still TBD as far as anything for you guys, other than we will far exceed the deductible on the insurance claim for that floor. So questions on that one?
Not to go down a rabbit hole,
Yeah.
but the bigger issue is the root cause of the problem and having that so it doesn't happen again.
I haven't pinned down who, what, when, where, why, but our plumber did say the root cause was coming from the city. So then that somebody was there that said that was the case. So Lauren and I have spoke a couple times about taking a preventative measure to obviously make sure as soon as we slap a new coat of wax on this new floor that this doesn't happen again. And we will dive into that rabbit hole, I guess is the better way,
yeah.
before we get done with all this, just to make sure, I guess the best we could probably do is have them make sure they've addressed whatever the issue was that caused our issue. So,
I figured, yeah.
but there has been some interaction as far as that part of it goes.
Perfect. I figured it was. Thanks.
And then what you guys have that we're actually ready to move on, obviously the wind damage on Chieftain Arena and the fence. I think attached in the board docs are quotes we've had to fix that. The fence repair is just Roy and Sons Fence Company, the company that installed the fence, come out, get the same product, reinstall the same product we've had put in. I think that was my biggest concern there. Let's just, the people that put it in, let's let them fix it. As far as the high jump mats go, we've explored some things to tack those things down to the ground a little bit before next year. So again, we're not addressing the same issue we have here in a year. I've never seen it happen, but it did happen twice. So we'll put some eye bolts down and strap those mats down so that doesn't go. And then the second thing you have is the demo on the screens on the rooftop. We started out dealing with KC Mechanical on this, who installed the roof screens and disposing of everything. I do have a sense of urgency on this one a little bit, strictly from it's not, I mean, it's leaning up there against some relatively expensive RTUs and condensation lines. There's gas lines and things up there. So further, I don't know if we're going to get any more wind now that we're kind of through the spring like that, but if we did, the potential for more damage comes. So I'd like to get those off of there. Our conversations with the city have kind of led us to believe that they will accept our recommendation for what we think needs to happen next. And I don't think putting something back up is ever going to be in our best interest or the best interest of the tax dollars we'd spend to do it, just because there's no way to attach it to the frame of the building. And that's the biggest issue. It was just attached to the curbing with some screws that you would be impressed with how small they were. It's just not. KC Mechanical said that in their history, they are, you're talking screens of that size and of that nature are actually welded to the I-beams in the frame of the roof. That's not the case on our building, and it is certainly not possible at this point in the building. So I don't think we can put anything up there that anybody would be willing to warranty. I don't think we can put anything up there that we'd be comfortable with spending the money to do. And some basic conversations with the city, I think they kind of understand our stance there. So we obviously need to get what's up there off, but then going forward, I don't know if there'll be a need to replace anything. It'll just be safely remove what's up there. So
make a note, there's not an action item on these. These all fall under the $20,000 authority that I have, plus the fact that we're dealing with insurance on this. We just don't know where that's all going to fall yet. We know what we're going to pay Remco, but we still have some work to do with the claim, especially with the rooftop. Yep. It's probably, I mean, honestly, it's with the deductibles how it is. It's probably just going to be that we pay for it out of pocket and move on.
The total of those two items falls under our deductible, so we don't quite hit our deductible with those two, and then obviously gain nothing on the backside of that. If we were going to look into replacement, then that would be that thing. But I don't think there's anybody that's going to warranty that work to the point of owning it if it happened again. So
it was. Remind me, is it on the brand new part, or is
yes?
This?
So there's two IntelliPack like large RTUs up there on the gym, and both screens ripped out from the west moving east and are just kind of leaned up against there. So yeah, that's the brand new.
You might remember that was a requirement of the city.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the city code.
Is it just aesthetic?
Yeah. Yes, it's just aesthetic.
It doesn't protect our
No,
It's just screening.
The argument came up in design of it being purely aesthetic and just a city code, and then to match what we have up there. But what they put up on the new stuff is all sheet metal. It's heavy, and the biggest thing is there's nothing to block the wind up there. That's the difference in some of the other lower parts of the building that can funnel it, or I mean, you're talking the highest point of the building, and there's just nothing breaking the wind coming up there. And so I think it was like 120 to 130 plus was the estimated wind that got that, and there's just no way to subside that, or like I said, anybody to install anything that they'd be comfortable with saying that's going to take that wind and hold. So yeah. So there's the insurance claim portion of things. And then just other summer projects. Obviously the big one we got going on right now is the move at the elementary. We've got phase 1 of that done. Johnson Logistics came out. They've got everything taken out of the room, staged in the gyms. I'm currently in the classrooms right now. We are cleaning, just beginning the install phase on the new television interactive TVs we're putting in. Taking the Promethean boards, most of those are down. So Forrest and his guys and Wire Nuts will start that. We're just kind of doing some odds and ends things as far as allowing that install to happen. And then I believe July 15th is the move back date that we are aiming for. So the week of July 15th, Johnson will come back out and repopulate the rooms, and then that'll give the teachers the following week of July 22nd to come in and do what they need to do, or utilize those days that we gave them to rearrange and do things. So that's all gone pretty well up to this point. And I'm trying to think, I don't think there's a whole lot else over there. And then we just have another, small things that we got going on. We're going to start tackling the signage question over at TMS, TES, just the wayward signage. Talked about some storage units today, or some shipping container units that we'll start trying to drop in to address some storage needs. But other than that, and then a little power hiccup last night at TMS, and we're just staying busy as we can. So but that's pretty much what we got going on. Nothing too crazy. Like I said, we will have a lot of man hours in the elementary school from our department as far as just moving power for those TVs and getting that ready to go. But it's something we're going to tackle internally, and it's something we should be able to handle. So
A lot going on.
always.
Very good. Any questions? Everybody good?
I mean, did we get the vandalism stopped at the elementary school?
Stopped, I don't know if it's the right word.
So I think
That's-
we've talked about this quite a bit. We're going to put up some more aggressive signage down there, number one. Number two is we're looking at putting up some lights to help with the cameras, the existing cameras down there. So for more visibility, kind of what we did down at the football field.
It'll be the same thing. I think
Very
we're-
similar. There's a grant, safety grant that Tanya's gonna be writing on that. I mean, that's just in the preliminary stage at this point. But it's pretty dark back there. And then, of course, increasing police coverage is another thing that we need to get going, and they're more than willing to do that. So it's just, when you're that far south and it's out of sight, and
No,
so-
there's a lot of people back there. I mean,
Yes, you
There-
walk back there.
well, not as regular as I should have, but I probably could ID that moped or whatever if you want, because I saw that day that, I mean, if you don't already know, I could ID it because I
We-
saw.
So are there consequences for
They
the
are
public?
looking into, yes. I mean, nobody has confessed. We're playing that game. But Brad has talked to
The video's not good enough to identify exactly who it is.
faces. But everything else. I mean, the principals know who they are. Yeah.
It's
And so
on.
they have been visited, they have
Yeah.
gone to their residents and talked to them.
It's on a single section too, and so our playground company is looking into, can we just replace that single section? Is it a whole slide replacement?
Yeah,
And that's kind of, we can address that. I think there's probably a way just to repair it on our own. It may not be, we'll see how handy we are with it, but it is just a single section that it looks like we can take out, replace that one section versus probably having to redo it, the entire slide. But they're checking into it because they said the manufacturers don't like making one section. They want to make you buy the whole slide. So depending on how much that cost is and how we want to handle it, I think there's probably multiple routes we can take just to be as fiscally responsible as possible there.
To be a little more, like Stephanie, there'll be consequences.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my intent.
Okay. I just don't want to set it as a precedent
No.
to
Pop a hole in there.
being okay with
Yeah.
No, we're not
vandalism
gonna
to
play.
property
Well, a
that
lot
we
of it
just
comes
purchased,
into
yeah.
what our cost what the actual cost of the damage has to be, and what they're capable of doing in that regard too. So when we get them that information, that will help that process.
What
Right.
about motion sensor, like lights that would motion sense?
That's what we're thinking.
Okay.
So it'd be the same. They're quoting 3 lights that'll go kind of on the corners of those buildings, the same ones we have on the back of the press box up there. That'll just be on a photo cell. So when it gets dark, they'll just kick on and be on all night. And actually, I think the ones on the football field will serve us really, really well. So be the exact same thing.
Do we have signage that says there's cameras that are recording?
That's I think part
That's
of
the signage we've got to get more aggressive on.
Okay.
Smile, you're being recorded.
Yep.
Well, I know the day before whenever the goal got damaged, I mean, I saw
Yeah,
3 kids and that matched the description. So
yeah.
Yeah, we got it.
It's still a small town.
this was dry. I mean, I live close. I was
Yeah.
driving by.
It's just frustrating, you know,
Absolutely.
to have really nice equipment being
Damaged.
deliberately damaged. But thank you, Mitch.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll have a presentation from Forrest on the technology updates.
I will say about the vandalism, we had that problem, probably 8 years ago down at the multi-purpose building. It was getting broken into all the time. We didn't install cameras. The minute we put lights up, I don't think we have had an incident since. So the lights helped a lot. I just wanted to talk real quick. I've got 3 action items up tonight, and I just wanted to talk about each of them real quick and then answer any questions if you have any about them. The first one is the TMS intercom system. This is a system that was original to that building. It's about 17 years old. It's kind of getting to its end of life. We're starting to have issues with it. The sound projection in the classrooms is not great. The bells don't seem to work too bad, but if somebody speaks, a lot of times you can't even understand what they're saying in the classrooms. This would fall asleep right as I start talking. We had 5 vendors that put in bids. I included my evaluation worksheet in the packet tonight and all the bids that went along with it. My recommendation would be to go with the Two Trees bid. It was around a little over 64,000 for the total bid. It was the least expensive bid we had. We've also, and I like the way, one reason I kind of liked them is I like the way they wire the building with the intercom system. It cuts down on the amount of cabling that gets run, and it cuts down on the number of switches that I have to provide. And it's also removal. They'll remove our old system also. The district has secured almost $29,000 in state grant money that can be applied to it, and which would leave the district at a cost of around almost $36,000 to do the whole project. The second thing that I have, did you guys have any questions about the intercom system? This is one that we slated to be paid out of the $36,000 out of bond money.
I noticed Two Trees is quite a bit less costly than some of the other ones.
Yep.
What's the reasoning for that?
I think it's just the equipment, that they went with on the bid. Wasega, I know I'm pronouncing that wrong, is the equipment, which is really good equipment. But I had some trouble with vendors that want to throw in all the bells and whistles that we didn't really need. We need a base intercom system. I think that's one reason that they were so much less than some of them. I know some of them we had, 120, 150,000.
I like less expensive. I was just kind of curious.
And we've had a good.
And it doesn't always mean that right. Some of
Yeah.
them, Access and Atlas, are very expensive.
I think Two
brands.
Trees has really worked hard to keep our business. We've had a pretty long-standing relationship with them. They're out of Wichita.
Okay.
Yeah,
And,
we've been doing
for a
business
long
with
time.
them for 15 years, probably almost. So they do continuously try and help us out on stuff. Chromebook refresh. We do this every summer. We budget for this every summer. It comes out of capital outlay. We try and ballpark between 150 and 160,000 for the expenditure. And I came in kind of right in this sweet spot, right in the middle of that, 155. We'd be purchasing 414 Dell 3110s, the 2-in-1s that can fold into a tablet. I still would like to stick with the Dell 3110s. We've had really good luck with them. It's a solid piece of machinery. It's got Gorilla Glass on it. It's really cut down on the number of screen breakages that we have. Cost of Chromebooks have gone up this year. The model that I buy for the elementary school and the middle school has gone up to $338. It comes with 4 gigs of memory and 32 gig hard drives. The ones I buy for the high school are $377. They're a little beefier. I want the high school students to be able to do more with it than maybe the elementary school kids. The new Dell Chromebooks come with quad-core processors. They're twice as fast. They have more memory. They have bigger hard drives. It's really a pretty nice Chromebook. I am starting to run low on some of my Chrome OS management licensing. So I put that in there and I get that for around $31 a license. But the total combined cost came out to $155,121. And my recommendation would be to do the purchase through Howard Technology. They were the lowest bid with all the vendors on this bid had all the same specs in their bids. And that, I mean, again, we budget for that every year.
So Forrest,
Yeah.
for some of the new board members,
Uh-huh.
can you explain what grade levels, and how this works? So
Okay.
they understand. They may
Okay.
not understand.
Yeah, that's a good point because, when we first started a 1-to-1, the big question always comes up is, how do you maintain a 1-to-1, right? Do you just go 5 years and then buy the whole district all new devices? That didn't seem like a really feasible idea. So what we went with, we inject new Chromebooks at 1st grade, 5th grade, and 9th grade. And then that Chromebook follows you for the next 4 years. So if a student gets it in 1st grade, yeah, they have that same Chromebook all the way through 4th grade. Kind of hope that would maybe cut back on students picking keys off and things like that, maybe have a little more ownership of the device.
Didn't work.
Well, we keep telling them, that's going with you to the next grade. You're not escaping it. So, yeah, we try and do that. That way we always have a fresh batch of Chromebooks being cycled in, right? And then the ones when they hit, after that we've had them for 4 years, well, seniors, we've been letting them take it with them. And then when, kids move up to 5th grade, we take those and usually break them down, use them. The good ones we keep, the ones that are not in such great shape, we usually will break them down and use them for parts. So that's
Very
kind of how our refresh goes.
Thank you.
Okay.
Huh? The last one is, I've kind of started calling this the CTE computer lab at the high school now. So it used to be the CAD computer lab, but they're going to be using it for other things rather than, not always CAD in that classroom. I know they're going to be using it for business classes and things like that. The computers that we buy for the high school are usually a little more specialized and higher end. So the Dells, Lenovo's are what we're replacing. The new Dells are around almost $2,400. I'm getting 17 of them, so the total cost is $40,799.83. This purchase would go through Dell Technologies. If you look in there, I really didn't get a lot of bids on this. I put it out there to all the people that I normally send bids to. Dell is real picky about some of their higher end models. They won't even give vendors bids on them. They want you to buy them from Dell. I did have Two Trees put in a bid for, I think, an HP computer with the same specs as what I wanted on the Dell, but it was, I think, $300 more per computer for that one. And honestly, the Dell's a better computer anyway, I think. So my recommendation would be to go with the Dell then. And that, again, this is something that will come out of actually my operating budget, and it's something that I've been planning for, and it's been on the schedule to replace. You guys have any questions about those? Okay. all I've got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Forrest. That brings us to the consent agenda. We get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
I second it.
All in favor? Raise your right hand. All right. Public forum? No public forum.
Let's see
With
here.
that, reports from Lauren?
Okay. Got a couple things here. Okay, so well, actually for June, there's a lot going on for the first couple of weeks here. So we have been working with CBIZ on our Blue Cross and Blue Shield renewal. We had hoped to get a preliminary bid on June 4th, but then Blue Cross needed a few more days to make it a full 8-month of loss ratio review. And so that's kind of where we're at. I won't know where we're at with our insurance bid until probably June 16th or somewhere in that range. And so Maggie Knudsen and CBIZ will come back and they'll give us the preliminary, you know, what Blue Cross is offering, and then negotiations begin with Blue Cross. You know, you try to get it lower. Let's say they come in at 8%, and then CBIZ works hard to get it to 6 or 5.5. I mean, that's generally the rule on that. So there we are. We do have a meeting set up with Dustin Avey from Piper Sandler on June 19th, and I can only have 3 board members, and otherwise it's a special board meeting. And if that's what you want, I can invite more. We just have to have a special board meeting. I sent the invitation out to Jim, Ryan, and Justin at this point, but if that was only to keep it at a non-special board meeting, that's the only reason. But if anybody else wants to join in on this, is the discussion will be over mill levy. It will be over preliminary budget numbers. What we're looking at is how do we manage our mill levy moving forward, and that's what Dustin Avey's been working on for the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I'll throw it out there. If that is something that, if we want to have a special board meeting, I need to know, because that's the only reason I didn't go with 4. Then we have a quorum. So it's up to you guys. We would be happy to accommodate, but it's at 9 o'clock on the 19th. And once again, it's going to be over mill levy, and then we'll talk about the R&R that's due July 19th. So
That's, I mean, we have a virtual or a Zoom link, right? Because
It's all
I mean,
Zoom.
I'm not going to be in town, but I can.
okay, so there. I mean, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Now there's a slot open. So Justin.
Well, I mean, I can do the Zoom link.
Zoom.
or-
That's right. You said you could. So
I can,
that's right. It's all Zoom.
but I mean, yeah, I think like the preliminary meeting we had a few weeks ago, if somebody is interested, we just have to announce that we're having a board meeting.
Yes. Just have to let me know. I did give Callista approval to hire an additional kindergarten teacher. Last year we had 117 kindergartners, and we're already at 132 that are pre-enrolled, and with the idea that we usually pick up another 8 to 10 when enrollment actually happens. It happens every year. So we could be around that 140, 41 range is kind of preliminary numbers at this point. And so we were looking at, how many students do we want in those classes? So right now we're hovering around 18 per class, so that would be 8 sections. I'm pretty sure it's 8 sections of kindergartners for next year. So the numbers are up, and that's good. We need that. Negotiations. I don't know if Tanya had worked on this today, but we had talked about having June 18th as our first round of negotiations, and then I found out that I have a meeting from 4 until 6 o'clock, a very important meeting from 4 to 6 o'clock that day, but it's in Kansas City. It's Dan Brungart's retirement reception, and I need to be there for that. So we might, did you even work on that?
No.
So we will probably have to look at a different date to start negotiations. It won't be, I don't think we'll be able to talk numbers at that point, but maybe some of the preliminary, verbiage that we always start out with. So we'll collect, or I'll be gone the rest of the week, so Tanya will be working on that and keep me glued in. Vandalism, we've talked about. You guys, I don't think there's too much to add to that. That we are working with our SRO and the police department. There's been a lot of discussion already. So, and then we're, like you said, we're trying to take some steps moving forward. Property and casualty claims, Mitch updated you on that, did a nice job on that. We did work with Rec Commission to tread step repair on the steps going up and down. We split the cost on that, and Brad Eccles lined that up with a local company downtown, and so that was our cost, $1743.59. And so what we have a lot of walkers, they're actually now walking up the steps around there, and so just to try to keep anybody tripping over loose plastic is where we started on that. I'm still pushing that, we at some point, I'm hoping that we're having a capital outlay special board meeting. We've prioritized, we sent out surveys. I think the next step is just to continue that discussion on what our plans are. We've already made a significant transfer, into from bond contingency into capital outlay, but the next step we're probably looking at projects that are high on our list. Could be HVAC, it could be rooftops, it could be parking lots. We know the drill on that. And then this is not an action item, but Jill and I have been working together on a bus bid that I was hoping or planning to bring before the board in July at a July board meeting. We've gone back and forth on what our needs are. Currently, we have one bus on order from almost a year ago, and it's still probably 6 to 8 months out. So it takes about 18 months to get a bus. So if we order one in July, you won't see it until 26. That's just
Unbelievable.
yeah. Now they have the smaller buses. If you drive by Bonner Springs, you'll see a lot of buses out there in their parking lots, but those are all either 56 or 61 passenger buses. We use 77s, and so that's the reason behind it.
I saw the bid in here, and I just had somebody. Have we ever looked at electric ones? I don't know if they make them in the 77.
No,
because there's
we
supposedly a lot of grants through the EPA, and
I'm talking to my superintendent colleagues. There's a mixed bag of that, and I know there's been some schools that
they said
totally,
Buncy or somebody.
yeah, they
did it.
totally moved in that direction. But then again, others are very. I visited with the guys over at Bonner, and I don't know. I'm not saying there's a strong.
I'm not advocating one way or the
Yeah,
other. I
I-
just said it sounded like there were some grants, and it might be
Well, now we work on
less
grants too.
expensive. So
The other grant we get is the clean fuel grant, and Jill's been pretty good about getting that. So the last bus we got came with a grant, and so you can always apply those. You get one shot a year to apply for those. So we've gotten 2 of those grants since I've been here, and I think that is it. The only other thing I was going to offer is I did meet with Justin this morning before he went on vacation for a couple hours, and we went over a lot of different topics. We went over negotiations. We went over, he had a list of topics he just wanted to discuss, and it was really good to go through all that prior to tonight's meeting. The R&R, the mill levy, so all of that. It was good to have those discussions. So I appreciate. He doesn't come in every Monday, but we space those out every 2 to 3 weeks. All right, that's all I got.
All right, very good. Thanks, Lauren. With that brings us to Assistant Superintendent Tanya.
All right. What I have in the packet tonight for the strategic planning updates has changed since the publishing of the agenda here. Had a really good conversation with Ryan last week, and we talked through a few of the sections in the strategic plan. So I've spent the end of last week and beginning of this week today actually making some of those changes. So I will have that ready for you. I'm gonna send it out to, via email tomorrow, and you can take a look at the changes. I'll highlight what was changed, so you can see. And it's really made it more concise and taken out some of the ambiguity. So I appreciate Ryan calling me, and we had a really good conversation. So I think the changes will be very good, and I'll send that to you tomorrow so you can let me know your feedback on that. Talking with Becky Nazarode, we've engaged with a company that specializes in publishing these types of documents, and so we've gotten a bid from them, and it looks to be very reasonable, and they will take what we have and then make it into a very nice published document that we can put on our website, and then have some, actual paper versions as well. So I'll let you know all that information when we come back in July. But whenever I send the updated draft tomorrow, if you have any final thoughts or changes, let me know, and we'll go from there. All right, so enrollment 24-25, I can't believe we're already talking about that. We just wrapped up the school year. Forrest and I have been looking into a feature that we had not taken advantage of in Skyward in the past. I think Baser uses it to kind of do a little bit of pre-enrollment. It's on the website. We don't have it on currently, but we will be adding it when we open up our enrollment in the first 2 weeks of July. What it does is it gives us an advantage of allowing families who are new to the district to click on a link and fill out just some very basic information that then goes to our secretaries. They can make any corrections or changes that they need to, and then immediately the family gets a link to complete their online enrollment. So all those families don't have to wait to come into the building. They can complete that from the comfort of their own home, their couches, or even if they haven't moved here yet, they can complete it ahead of time. So it gives us a little bit of an advantage on finding out who those families are, getting them into the system, getting them ready to roll. We will have time in each building where families can still come in if they need to make any schedule changes or make any other changes. So we will also still continue to have the time where we bring kindergarten parents in. If they want to, upload their documents through the system, that's completely fine. But most of the time, your kindergarten families want to come in and look around and make sure where the classroom is and all that before school starts. So we'll still have a little bit of time for them to do that as well. But I just wanted to let you know that was coming, and we'll have our online enrollment open during the first 2 weeks of July. All right, and we are currently still working on the staff and student handbooks. Those should be ready for the July board meeting.
They've been working on those for
It's been a while.
3 or 4 months. I mean, there's a lot of revision.
Yes.
And they're trying, Becky Nazarode and the building principals have been working together to make sure they align, for consistency across the district. And so in the past, I think there was some cutting and pasting, and so I think we're trying to work through a lot of the changes so that they are consistent, I think is the big term we keep using. So, yeah, it's been a big job. Okay.
That's all I have.
All right, thank you. That brings us to the action items. 5.1, approval of additional bills. So
These,
I got a question about that,
Yeah.
Lauren, and
Yeah.
maybe everybody else does, but I'm concerned about that.
Mhm.
I assume that didn't make it on the warrant list
So-
last time?
So this was Justin's suggestion to highlight anything that came in after Thursday. Because what we've done, yes, I mean, so we've been working with everybody in the district office to draw attention to things that come in late that need to be paid going into July. And so no oversight, is just, this is a process that we've started. Audrey, would you agree? Am I hitting it pretty close? Yep. I mean, so yeah, these all came in either Thursday, Friday, or even, were there any that, well, I don't know about this morning.
Instead of
Probably
putting on the
Friday.
consent agenda Thursday, they're just getting added extra at the end for us to see, draw attention and
I think you're gonna, this is how Justin wants it, and I think this is how you're gonna see it as we move forward.
More transparent, I guess.
You're more transparency,
Yeah.
yes. Good
Okay,
point.
very good. So with that, do we have an action item?
Yep.
So, make a motion to approve item 5.1, approval of the additional bills. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Very good. All right. Action item 5.2.
I'll turn this over to Tanya real quick. This is hers.
All right, parents as teachers renewal. We contract with Keystone as we have for several years, and this is just the typical renewal form that we see come every year. Their costs went up just a bit, but we are keeping the same number of units as we have in the past. So this is a typical renewal.
Okay. Motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
That we approve that parents as teachers.
Okay, a second?
I second it.
All in favor? Yeah, very good. Okay. Brings us to item 5.3, approval of the 2024-2025 fee of this schedule.
Okay, if you want to pull that one up, I can go over that one with you. This is, these are recommendations from the administrative team. Basically, Josie Isis has been working on this along with the other principals. And when you see, well, there's some, anything that's redlined, there, you can see the increase. But on the extracurricular fees, we had not addressed those fees in years. I mean, it was quite a few years. Josie's thought was just trying, with increased cost of officials, everything else that's going on, just trying to bring it more in line with what the rest of the league is doing with their fee schedule. So it's a $20 increase, but actually it's still a very, very good deal for the students. When you look at it in the big picture. The other change was just a little increase in the milk price by Barb, 5 cents. The early childhood, do you want to address that one?
Sure. We've had the early childhood program since I've been here and before, and the cost is just for peer model students only. So it's the students who don't qualify for at-risk or for special education services. They pay a small fee. This fee had not gone up, and I've been here 15, almost 16 years, and it's not gone up since then. We looked at costs around the Leavenworth County area, and we are still by far way lower than anyone else. So we decided to adjust it up just a little bit. As we're looking into the future, we hope to establish an early childhood center with a preschool and possible daycare for staff members, and this would kind of move us incrementally in that direction. We certainly don't want to be cost prohibitive to families, and we certainly don't want to be the top price anywhere. We are still by far the lowest, so this was just kind of an incremental move, and it will also help us pay for the snacks. We do get some funding from the state. We get 0.5, so half a kid, but it's only for those who count for at risk.
Right.
And special ed students are through special ed funding. So we don't get any funding for the extra kiddos that we have enrolled in preschool.
What do we, oh man. Do we do anything to help recruit more of the at-risk? I mean, it's a good deal for parents as a model student, but I mean, the risk is worth the risk.
Yes, we always fill our slots first. We have to hold slots for students who qualify for special education services, and then we hold the rest of the spots for at-risk. And if we don't have enough at-risk students, we fill then with the peer models. So it's always done in order of special education, at-risk, and then peer models at the end.
All right. So can I get a motion for that?
I make a motion to approve the 2024-2025 fee schedule.
I second it.
Very good. All in favor? Raise your right hand. Okay, brings us to item 5.4, the approval of the TMS intercom system as Forrest presented to us earlier.
I move we approve action item 5.4 is presented.
Second.
Second it.
All in favor? All right, very good. Item 5.5, approval of the Chromebook refresh as Forrest presented as well.
I move that we approve the Chromebook refresh as it was presented.
I second it.
All in favor? Very good. Approval, 5.6, approval of the THS computer lab refresh.
I make a motion to approve item 5.6 as it was presented for the computer lab refresh for the high school.
I second it.
Very good, all in favor? Very good. Item 5.7, approval of the contractual agreement with the Guidance Center for the 2024-25 school year.
Hey, Tanya.
Discussion about
Yeah,
that?
Tanya's got-
This is the same agreement that we've had this current school year with the Guidance Center. They place someone in our building who's a licensed behavioral health professional to provide services for students who need that. Their parents obviously give permission and they can bill insurance. They had a grant which has run out for that program, but they are still continuing to fund most of it. If they go past what the third-party insurances will pay, we would have a cap of $15,000 per year, and that would be invoiced in May or June. So we would know ahead of time if that were occurring, but they have agreed to keep costs under $15,000.
What are we paying currently for that?
Nothing. It's been all grant funded.
How many students are they seeing typically? Like what's our?
A full load is all I know. I don't know the exact number of students. I do know it has taken a huge load off of our high school counselors and our social worker.
So they're primarily in the high school then?
Yes, they are only in the high school at this point. We wanted to put one in each school, but they only had the grant funding for one. We do have the opportunity to apply for a mental health grant through the state of Kansas. It's been reallocated to the Department of Disability.
Disabilities.
Yeah.
I think you're right.
But that has not been released yet. As soon as that's released, we'll fill that out. So we do have the opportunity to get grant funding to cover this $15,000 plus more if we need it.
Okay. Entertain a motion for that.
I move that we approve the Guidance Center contract as stated.
Second.
I second it.
All in favor? Okay, very good. With that brings us to action item 5.8, approval of the Prime Vendor Award.
Okay. Yeah, this Barb sent you a lot of information. She is very thorough, very thorough in her research of trying to find the best prime vendor for food service. So it through the whole, all the rubrics, everything that she put out, it came down to staying with U.S. Foods, and so she puts a lot of time and effort into ensuring that she comes up with the best cost and the most accessibility of foods. That's really what a lot of it comes down to. So she's recommending U.S. Foods. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess we approve the vendor, then
She thinks
she just bills it, and then it doesn't
Right.
have to get approved. It's warrants, and we just move through the process.
we have to pick the vendor.
I would move we approve Prime Vendor Award contract to U.S. Foods as presented.
I second it.
All in favor? Yeah, very good. Thank you. With that moves us to 5.9, the closing budget authority. I
Yep.
assume you just need me to read that, or?
Yes.
So I move to authorize the superintendent the business manager, and the auditor to make necessary transfers to the special funds, driver's education, special education, food service, in-service textbook, capital outlay, and transfer the legal maximum amounts provided by law to the contingency reserve fund, the capital outlay fund, and any special funds from the general fund and supplemental fund, subject to receipt of the district's final state aid payments.
This is something we do every year. Yeah.
Second.
Also,
All in favor? Yeah. Very good.
There
Thank
you
you.
go.
Okay. With that, I don't think we have any need for executive session, any general board discussion or upcoming announcements, or? No? With that, meeting adjourned.
There you go.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.